Good morning, children. Let us continue with your social class. We have started yesterday the birth of United Nations, page number 95. Yes, so we are done with the introduction, and today let us see the birth of United Nations. So page number 96. As I read out the text, do follow me. In between, I'll be asking you to underline, mark some of the important points. Do that, okay? Alright, page number 96, the birth of the United Nations. After World War II, people were worried all over the world about their future. Many nations of the world came together to find ways to prevent wars and promote peace and security in the world. These feelings gave birth to the United Nations. Finally, representatives of 51 nations met in San Francisco in April 1945. Underline that. Finally, representatives of 51 nations met in San Francisco in April 1945. India was one of them. This conference prepared the Charter of the United Nations. It was signed by all 51 members countries on 24th October 1945. Okay, underline that. When they met for the meeting and when they signed is a two different thing. It was signed by 51 member countries on 24 October 1945. This day is celebrated as the United Nations Day. Today, 193 countries are its members. The headquarters is in New York, which is in USA. Underline the headquarters. And also, how many members are presently there in United Nations? Underline that as well. 193 countries. The UN flag has light blue background with its symbol, which is a world map at the center, surrounded by olive branches. Olive branches symbolize peace. Okay, underline starting from the flag. The flag of United Nations has light blue background with its symbol, which is a world map at the center. Like we have our country's flag. Likewise, surrounded by olive branches. And why olive branches? As because it symbolizes peace. Alright, now listen. So after the Second World War, as we have read yesterday, that in the Second World War, what happened? US dropped atom bombs in two of the Japanese cities, that is Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because of which lots of millions of people, thousands of people, they lost their lives, properties got damaged, and many got disabled also. Now, after this, people were worried after this incident. People all over the world, they were worried that what will happen to their future if this things continues. If one country starts dropping bomb on the other, then the entire world will come to an end. So many countries, they decided that we have to do something to prevent these wars, to stop this kind of wars, and so that we can promote peace and security in the world. And this feeling gave rise to this United Nations. And finally in 1945, April 1945, 51 countries of the world, they decided to meet up in San Francisco, and India was one among them. This conference, this meeting between these 51 members countries, now was later on, they signed in the month of October 1945. This particular day, October 24, 1945, when these 51 members countries signed the Charter of United Nations, they agreed, a kind of an agreement, okay? And that day, from that particular year, 24 October 1945, is celebrated as United Nations Day. Today, currently, it started with 51 country members. Today, there are 193 countries in United Nations, and the headquarters of this particular organization, you can call it as an organization, it is in New York, US. It also has its symbol, a flag with a blue background, and the world map at its center, also surrounded by olive leaves, as big olive branches, not leaves, sorry. as because olive branches symbolize peace, and these organizations, the main reason that why this organization was set up was to promote peace and security in the world. 2 points, don't forget. There's a picture in page number 96 on the right hand side of a person, Roosevelt of USA. Just below that there is a blue box. Amazing fact, South Sudan is the 193rd member of the United Nations. It is the newest nation to be part of the UN. Note that as well. You may get objective questions from there also. Everything, whatever is there in your text, everything is important, each and every line. Now let us see the main principles of United Nations. A few principles have been set in the Charter of the United Nations. They are set to achieve the goals set by the UN. All the members must agree with these principles. The principles are as follows. All the member nations should respect the sovereignty and rights of each other. Threats and the use of force should be avoided. Only peaceful measures should be used to settle disagreements and disputes. The member nations must support and cooperate with the United Nations in all its activities. Alright. So there are some basic principles, basic ideals which the members of United Nations must follow. They have to. And these principles are set so that the goal of promoting peace and security in the world can be achieved by the United Nations. What are those principles? Number one, all the members, that means all the nations, those who are part of this United Nations, they must respect the sovereignty and rights of each other. Sovereignty, which means no country can interfere in the internal affairs, in the internal matters of any other particular country. So you have your full sovereign, your complete authority to decide upon your own country, and also that must be respected. Number two, threat and use of force cannot be, cannot be implemented. Or in other words, if I say, it must be avoided. No country can give a threat to any other country, and also you cannot force anyone. Third, yes, at times there can be disputes, there can be disagreements, conflicts between different countries. So when such scenario arises, the disputes, the disagreements, the conflicts must be sorted out only through peaceful means. No war, no fight. Fourth, the member nation, this 193 members as we read now, this 193 members or 193 countries, those who are part of United Nations, they will have to cooperate, they will have to obey, agree to with the United Nations in all its activities if you have to be their member. As because the main reason or the main motto of United Nations is to promote peace and security. There is, along with this particular objective of the United Nations, peace and security, there are also some other objectives of the United Nations as mentioned in your book. Let us read that. The aims and objective of the UN. To work for peace and security in the world, that's number one, and that's the main motto. Number two, to develop friendly relation and cooperation among the nations. To promote human rights and freedom for all. To solve economic, social, cultural and human problems. To remove differences based on religion, language, sex and race among the people. To assist in the achievements of these objectives. The chief aim of the United Nations is to safeguard the human race from the horror of the war. Underline that. The chief aim, the main aim, which means peace in other way, right? And also security. To achieve these objectives, the United Nations issued a Declaration of Human Rights called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Underline that as well. What do you mean by Universal Declaration of Human Rights? I will explain. First of all, just note down the points, underline. It was adopted on 10th December 1948. This day is celebrated as the Human Rights Day all over the world. The United Nations made a classification about the rights of human beings, which include right to live as free citizens, equality before the law, equal pay for equal work, freedom of worship, right of free speech and writing, freedom to travel anywhere according to one's choice, right to education, freedom from torture. The people of the world are still facing some of the problems, but the United Nations is working sincerely to help the human race in its growth, maintenance of peace, and development. Okay. Alright, so now let us discuss the objectives. What do you mean by Declaration of Human Rights? And also with regard to the rights of human beings. So the first and the foremost objective we have discussed several times, peace, security. Next, so that every country must have a friendly relation with one another and they must cooperate with one another. So when you cooperate with one another, when you have a good understanding, a good relation, there is no question of any war, any fight, any dispute. To promote human rights and freedom for all, human being must be granted some certain basic rights, irrespective of, as written out there, religion, language, gender, race. To solve economic, social, cultural, and human problems. United Nations also works for solving the problems related to economy, problems related to society, related to culture, and human being. Number 5, I have discussed to remove the differences. 6, main achievement. They will keep on, to assist in the achievements of this objective, to help other countries and United Nations, so that as because it is an international organization, so the 6th main objective is that to help countries so that they can achieve this particular objectives, these 5 objectives as we read. And in one word, if I define all these 5 objectives which we read, it means for the well-being of the human being, for the well-being of the people, right? Which means to protect, to save the human being from the horrors of war. As we know, as I explained to you yesterday, I gave this what happens during war. It is not only, yes, at the end of the war, there is one who wins, the other one who loses, but even the one who wins also, in one way, if you try to understand, they are also a loser, as because they have lost their people, right? And losing your people just for the cost of winning a war, it's no less than a loser. Now, in order to achieve these objectives, the United Nations, they have set up some certain basic human rights, which is termed as a Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this was adopted on 10 December 1948, and from that particular day, this day is also celebrated as Human Rights Day. What are some of the basic human rights as per the United Nations? Right to live as free citizen, equality before the law. Everybody must be treated equally by the law, irrespective of whoever you are, whatever you are. Equal pay for equal work. If 2 persons are doing the same sort of job, you must be paid equally. Freedom of worship. Nobody can tell you which God to worship, which God not to worship, which religion to follow. It depends upon your choice. Right of free speech and writing. Freedom to travel anywhere according to one's choice. Right to education. Freedom from torture. But even today, in some parts of the world, there are some people, those who are still facing some of these problems. The main human rights, they don't have even this basic human rights. So what United Nations is doing, they are working constantly, sincerely, so that they can provide at least this basic human rights to each and every human being in every corner of the world, which will help in the growth of human race, in the development, and also to maintain peace. With this, we come to the end of this chapter. On page number 97, on the right hand side, there is, on top, if you see, there is a piece of information for you. The United Nations provides food to 90 million people in over 75 countries, and also a picture of pictorial representation of, you can say, UN flag. With this, we've come to the end of the chapter, so you know what you have to do now. Yes, some of the exercises I have already assigned you as a homework, like page number 98. If you go, question number A, 1, 2, 3, it was done yesterday. So today you are left with 4 and 5. Fill in the blanks. Match the column and 6 important human rights as mentioned by UN. These are all straightforward questions from your text, the one which we have discussed today. Who suggested the name of the United Nations and how many members are there in the UN now? Question number 1 and 3 of E, answer the following question oddly, was done yesterday. So you are just left with 2 and 4. Complete your assignment and submit it during the clarification hours. God bless you all.